This episode of Navel Gazing is sponsored by valleygivesback.org. Adding a Valley charity to your estate plan creates a lasting legacy that tells future generations what causes matter to you. Your action will inspire others to follow your lead and make a difference. With a planned gift, you have the power to impact the Valley community forever without affecting your current lifestyle. Learn more at valleygivesback.org, an initiative of the Valley Community Foundation. Plan now, give later, and impact tomorrow at valleygivesback.org.
For hundreds of years we've brought you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. Owners' profits were always sky high. Changing market now threatens our lives. Post-literation, critical reading, dumbed down nation, signs of inbreeding, TV sucking ideas from our head, public discourse just about dead. We'll ride the dinosaur, yeah, ride the dinosaur.
Hey everybody, welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indy's weekly podcast. My name is Eugene Driscoll, and I'm joined by Valley Indy reporter Ethan Fry. Hello, Ethan.
Hello, how are you?
All right, now we have to speak up this episode because we're going old school here. We're sitting in an office at 158 Main Street in the city of Ansonia without electricity or heat, really through no fault of our own.
It's like the old school, newspapers of the Deadwood, the guy with the. We don't have.
This is how they recorded their podcast
of the pre-electricity era.
So, and we thought, what better day to not have heat or electricity than when we're hosting the two guys from Connecticut Magazine. That's right, we have Connecticut. You've probably heard of this magazine. I don't know why I'm looking at my computer while talking, but I apologize. Connecticut Magazine just came out with its Valley issue. The Valley issue. I'm looking at it right now. And joining us are two of the editors. Of course, I didn't research their titles beforehand. But it's Erik Ofgang and the other guy.
Lee Murphy is my last name.
Michael Lee Murphy. Sorry about that. Michael Lee Murphy was interned for the Valley Indy once upon a time. And Erik, we actually worked together at the News Times of Danbury.
Yes.
You and Ethan.
Right.
So it's like, even though I can't remember Mike's name, it's like, what is that, reunion? Reuniting.
Reunion.
Yeah, a reunion.
Yes.
A reunion here in the benighted Valley. So let's talk about Connecticut Magazine. Well, first of all, your titles. I apologize.
I'm just a staff writer.
You're a staff writer. All right, so I promoted you.
Yeah.
Senior writer, yeah. We both got
Senior
promotions, yeah.
That's right, because the editor actually lives in Ansonia.
He does.
Yes, Albie Urovich,
Albie
lives
Urovich.
in Ansonia, yeah.
So go ahead.
The former editor, before Albie, Ray Mendici, also lived in Shelton, so a lot of Valley connections to the magazine.
Oh, really? So you guys, we should end this podcast. It's the competition we're talking to. So how often does Connecticut Magazine come out?
Every
First
month.
of all, it's a monthly magazine. And how did this idea? I mean, you guys are really well known for your best ofs. Which did that just come out? Because I've seen everywhere all the businesses highlighting their reader choice.
Yeah,
things,
I think we did the best restaurants in January, and we did, I think the best of issue, isn't it usually September?
Yeah, the best
Oh,
of
I didn't realize
Connecticut
there's more
issue is
than one.
September. Yeah, we
You guys
did
got a
best
racket
bars
going.
in March, yeah. We
We did best bars, and best bars was in March. Best doctors was in April. Best
podcast yet or no?
I did podcasts. I didn't.
Oh,
actually-
thanks, Mike. Who'd you go with? Tuccio? Welcome to Connecticut, Ken Tuccio. Right? Am I right?
I did. Yeah.
Yes,
We got to get better Twitter, man. Need a better headshot. No, Ethan's got nothing. Okay, so there's a lot of best.
There's a lot of best. Yeah.
And how many staff? Are you guys how many people write for Connecticut Magazine? What's how many employees roughly? Do you
So
have?
we've got a 4-person editorial team. It's me and Mike, plus Mike Walschlager and Albie Urovich, the editor-in-chief.
What does Mike do there?
And
The other
he
Mike?
does a combination of editing and writing. So
Okay.
he's does a lot of editing, but also does some writing as well.
And just lean into the mic a little
sorry,
bit. I apologize. Usually we have these fancy microphones here that we're just not using. I have a microphone from Best Buy.
No problem.
And you're part of the Hearst Corporation, right?
Yeah, we got bought by Hearst in June. Before that, we were owned by Digital First Media. So we're part of the ownership group now that includes the New Haven Register, the Middletown Press, Torrington Register Citizen. That was our little our little group that got bought by Hearst in June, adding us into now the Connecticut Post, Danbury News Times, Stamford Advocate,
Norwalk Hour,
Greenwich, Time, if that still exists.
You guys want to buy the Valley Indy by any chance? A couple of bucks.
They
I
run
think you guys are
do it
doing well.
cheap.
Yeah, and they run all purchasing decisions by us first. So
You guys aren't making those decisions.
Yeah, we're consulted on an ongoing basis about.
But
larger
I just
business
go
decisions.
through all that. It's probably too inside baseball. I mean, I don't know. Maybe listeners are interested in knowing the internal.
I think it's
workings.
important to know who owns the medias.
And there's not 1,000 people putting together the magazine.
No, there's six. There's 6 of us total.
Yeah, and actually
there's 2 designers as well.
Yeah, in addition, we have
Nobody
the
cares about this.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But I mean, you look at the finished product. It's impressive to me that small number of people are involved and turn out something that's so good
there's a whole
and
ad
so
team as
popular.
well. But yeah, on the editorial side, it's the 6 of us.
Ad people, huh? All right. So, how did the Valley issue come about? I remember a couple of years ago, the magazine was run by somebody else because there's been a couple of
Ownership,
yeah. And that person had contacted me, and we were going to guest edit Connecticut Magazine, probably because they had no staff. I'm like, hey, maybe we can. At that point, it was before Hearst came over, because Hearst is a healthy company compared to some of the other
For sure.
newspaper owners. So, but it never came about. I was really looking forward to it. But so, how did this idea sort of come about to dedicate an issue, which I don't think has ever been done before, to the Naugatuck Valley?
Well, we were in November or December. We the whole editorial team sits down and has a meeting about we plan out the year, in terms of what various topics we want to hit and what months. And the idea was batted around to do a whole issue dedicated to a particular place.
Yeah, it was actually Mike's idea. He had an idea. He had been talking about it, doing an issue dedicated to a particular place, and gave a very impassioned plea about why we should do it, and really, I think, won me over with the idea, because I was a little skeptical of the concept at first.
Why?
Just because I was worried that there would be
Not enough craft beer?
Yeah, not enough craft beer in one
Eric's a
particular
noted
area.
craft beer writer, listeners. You've written a couple of books on it.
Connecticut's leading authority, I will say.
There's
Isn't there some guy from the Waterbury Republican, like Mr. Beer
Oh
Suds or
yes,
something
yeah,
like that?
Will Siss, yeah, he writes a column.
Yeah, is there any way you would do a boxing match to raise money
drink it up. No,
for the Great Give, May 1st and 2nd? No.
We compete in the beer Olympics every year, but no, he's a great guy. So there's a
Also
lot
known
of
as
good authorities.
alcoholism.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. So you were saying you thought maybe the idea.
I didn't see the vision, I guess, at first. Maybe skeptical is the wrong word, but I didn't see. So he started talking about it, how you'd have a variety of stories. It wouldn't be the only thing we covered in the issue, but there would be a significant amount of stories on a wide range of topics. And it really, for me, came together as you could do this if you found the right place, a place that wasn't over-covered in other publications, wasn't, had a little bit of enough diversity of stuff going on,
So not like a mall town or New Haven, which has been done to death.
New Haven's been done to death. Yeah, so I think we were knocking around the idea of a place that's not been covered a ton, but that also has a very specific regional identity.
A sense of place. Yeah,
sense of place, absolutely. And the Valley obviously hits all those notes. There's a extreme sense of place here. When you're in the Valley. And yeah, it helped that our editor-in-chief, Albie Urovich, he's a Naugatuck native, and he lives in Ansonia now, so he knows the Valley as well. And it's a collection of towns. Because the other ideas were the Norwich issue or the Willimantic issue or et cetera. But the Valley is a nice little collection of towns. so you can there's a bit of variety even within it.
Yeah, and also that kind of, like you say, that shared identity, which I think is stronger in the Valley than other places. Even, there's definitely the greater Danbury area where we were at the News Times as a region, but I don't think it's as
New
connected.
Milford didn't care about Danbury necessarily, contrary to what our editor said at the time.
Enough Sherman coverage.
Right. More Sherman! What's going on at Roxbury? It was like people on Main Street Danbury didn't necessarily... And in Ridgefield was its own, like, they didn't care about
its own world.
Yeah,
and
Richfield for sure, yeah.
But the Valley does have that, whatever it is, where we can publish a story that is about Derby, but you'll see Shelton people commenting on it.
And
everyone sort of circulates.
Even right down to, I remember noticing this really when I was interning here in 2011, and I did a little photo essay about it, where all the signs in the Valley say, like, Valley Auto Body or Valley Printing Shop, and everything there. Even in the sort of local business area or local business arena, people are affiliating with a brand almost of
like
the
even
Valley.
like the newest restaurants in Ansonia Main Street. Oh, it's not so new now, but Copper City had to. You got it's like important to incorporate the identity of the community into your name here. So how long? So that was late last year, the beginning of this year.
Yeah, late last year. Yeah.
Like how long do you work on the issue, and how did you? Before we get to what's in the issue, how did you decide which topics to tackle? And then who didn't return your calls? That's what
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, jump in whenever, Eric. But like we basically have a meeting. We try to have a meeting like fully 2 months before the issue comes out. So probably 2 months ago, we sat down again after deciding we wanted to do a Valley issue. We sat down and tried to hash out some stories within like what would look. I think we came over when we sort of. Chewed the fat with you guys about what's going on.
We just basically poo-pooed you for 3 hours. We were just like, nah, don't do that.
Well,
you caught us on a bad day.
This is actually a good.
Now that we don't have electricity, I realize how we're just spoiled brats.
1 hour of like discussion about like magazine topics, then 2 hours of like talking about all the people we didn't appreciate at the News Times.
We weren't in a good mood that day, so
which is
I see you totally disregarded our advice.
Understanding that, and no, but this is actually a good opportunity to pay some tribute and tell the story about the Valley Indy's role in the Valley issue, which is was it 2011? I think the fall of 2011. There used to be a biannual feature in Connecticut Magazine called "Rating the Towns." Where where there would be
like grades, right? They'd get like a
or it would certainly be ranked,
like
and each would have like a score.
Like Entertainment Weekly.
It was sort of like a pass-fail.
Yes.
Maybe, and that right there was probably I had a resentment right off the bat. I was never a good student.
And as someone who worked on it was about the worst thing I've ever had to do as a journalist.
You worked on that at that time?
Not at that time.
Okay.
But I worked on the last year we did it, and I remember I'm never doing that again. I'm either going on vacation that month, calling in sick, or
Eric gets special credit for.
I want to revisit that because I want to find out what was so bad about it. But all right,
so I think it was essentially a metric of like you took I don't know what it was. It was like housing. You ranked people according to like you set categories in terms of like housing price. Like obviously, the Greenwich is not going to be in the same category as like Willimantic or whatever.
So this was all those things at like all those
like
websites.
Listicles,
it was a listicle.
It was listicles
Before listicles were cool.
Yeah. Proto listicles. But yeah, so I mean, yes, Eric and I like both like Pontius Pilate wash our hands of this, but it was a ranking system for towns, and it was like schools, like test, grade score, testing grades. What else was in it?
Median income, probably.
Yeah,
probably
crime rates. It was
rates,
filling out. I think I spent a week filling out spreadsheets, which is not something I'm good at or to do. And it was just, and then at the end you get this
whatever our wants to do.
Yeah, and whatever
big
our
data.
Yeah, whatever our algorithm was, you get this like number that like I didn't feel like meant anything at that point, because you could, some of the data, like you could look at like, which town has the lowest crime rate or the economy is. But once you kind of put it all together into our new metric, it almost didn't have any meaning anymore.
And then, of course, Derby and Ansonia, I would assume, and I live in Derby, and we're working here in Ansonia, came out low on the list. I don't really. All I remember is the word benighted. I don't remember anything else
earlier.
about this,
That was earlier.
I don't really know where they came out on the list either. But famously, a prior editor at the magazine wrote that in a little blurb describing the intro is like, and as we see, like, Ansonia and Derby from the quote unquote the benighted valley come out sort of towards the lower end of the list. So you, Eugene, wrote a very funny polemic, which
what is that word? Ethan, help me out.
Polemic.
What does that mean?
An opinion piece that's like, biting.
Okay.
Yeah. It was making fun of the big vocabs of Connecticut Valley. Of Connecticut Magazine writers using a word like benighted, which I also had to look up because I didn't know the word. But
I thought it was a positive, to be honest.
Yeah,
I thought it was like
benighted. I was thinking of like a nice
The sword on the shoulders. There's no K in it.
But it was more like wiping the boots of the soldier by nature, as that.
Well, it was benighted, meaning. I don't actually have the thing here, but it's like
state of decline.
It's like in a state of like confused darkness or something.
If I remember, it was. And this is just going on memory, and I could be totally wrong, but I remember like the tenor of it being. Like we're blissfully dumb, like just ignoramuses who don't know any other better way, and I guess like
ignorami, really.
Okay, all right. No, I appreciate that. There, I'm proving my point. But I just remember thinking at the time, I think I just purchased my house in Derby, thanks to like an Obama era tax credit and the fact that housing is so depressed in Derby, a reporter could buy a house.
Living the dream.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And
a cover story reporter in Connecticut buys a house.
and that's why all the Connecticut Magazine people have ties to the Valley, because it's like, it's someplace people can afford to live. So I just remember taking offense to that, like,
and
being man,
which you
like,
should
why?
Which you were entirely right to do. But
now, like this latest the Valley issue.
So this is like
raises that. Also I did it for page views. It was a slow news day. I remember it being sort of new, and it was a way to drop that traditional way of being completely unbiased and try to get some backslaps from our readership. So there was also I'll admit that.
And that's fair. That's totally fair. We do listy stuff too. Or clicky stuff too. Basically, so in the editor's note of the
and this is Albie.
The Valley issue. Sorry, I'm bumping that. Albie Yurovich, our editor, who's an Ansonia resident, as I said, he references this back and forth from 2011, and he says,
I haven't read this.
Way back in this is Albie writing. Way back in November 2011, this magazine published its then biennial rating the towns, ranking municipalities using personal income, crime rate, diversity, taxes, education, and cultural options. The Naugatuck River Valley
cultural options. Sorry.
The Naugatuck River Valley, including the towns of Naugatuck, Oxford, Beacon Falls, Seymour, Shelton, Ansonia, and Derby, rated poorly overall, or as the region's online news site, the Valley Independent Sentinel put it, we quote-unquote kick the Valley in the shins. At the time, the magazine wrote that the Valley, quote, remains a benighted place as far as surveys are concerned, and has been since our first one in 1982, close quote. Suffice it to say, Valley residents were not amused. So fast forward to this year, when our staff met late last year to discuss the story ideas for 2018, the concept of a Valley issue was a particularly intriguing one. It was a chance to pay tribute to a part of the state that isn't often seen in these pages, but is no less deserving of attention for the people, places, and issues that define us. So think of it as a pat on the back rather than a kick in the shins for the Valley. That's the idea. So throughout the issue, you'll see in each of our sections. The sort of hard news section, the arts and culture section, the food section, and then there's going to be a Valley story, and then in the middle of the magazine there's a whole section of Valley stories.
The what are some of the highlights of the articles? Or what do you call that thing? A magazine. I call it. Like what stands out? What did you guys like researching and talking to the folks and reporting about the most? I wish we had water, huh? Although our fridge, one great thing about not having power, our fridge, the ice in the fridge melted. It's just all over the place. We have water. We have no paper towels. I used a shirt and a tablecloth.
Sporadic. I really liked, I think after me and Mike met with you two, we went and just kind of drove around and explored the Valley in a way. I drive through the Valley. I've been to a lot of places, but we spent time like really just like exploring, talking to people. It's just really fun to do that for me. I went into Books in the Fall by the Falls, which is something I've drove by 100 times.
On Roosevelt Drive in Derby.
Yeah, or more than 100 times. Yeah, and just going in there and seeing, it's piled high with books, and the owner is such a character and has such a passion for what they do there that it was just, just a lot of fun to kind of explore that culture and I guess the quirk and character. That's what I really like. That's what I like about the Valley. It's like we were talking about earlier. It's a different place, but it's got like a lot of a lot of character.
It's kind of like it's like what the Bronx used to be. Yeah. Like when I hear my parents, that's where they grew up, and they talk about what their communities were like. To me, the Valley is a throwback in a lot of respect.
Absolutely.
That sort of character and the sense of community and sense of tradition. I guess.
It's interesting because we're based in New Haven, and I personally have seen New Haven, like downtown New Haven, get really sort of like hollowed out in a sort of opposite way, like it's upscaled, and all of the sort of quirk of the place has been pushed out by higher rents or by property magnates or by a vision for the city that sees, that wants to put, Jamba Juices and high-end retail all through the city and sort of make it a playground for wealthy people. It's lost a lot of the character and like what really made it a unique place. So there's a T-shirt that goes around that says, I have a bumper sticker on my on my cubicle at work that says, New Haven, I really liked you back when you really sucked. The Valley doesn't suck, but it's got that kind of character. It hasn't been hollowed out like culturally like some other places in the state have. That I in a way that
not
I find
generic.
really interesting. Yeah, it's not generic. It's totally got character.
Yeah, not yuppieized or.
Yeah.
So you went through Books by the Falls. What are some other places you visited and wrote about?
We went to the Europol, the deli on Main Street.
In Ansonia.
In Ansonia, right down the street from us here. And that was a place, I think I wrote in, we did a little food roundup of like classic Valley eating. Like what are some, so we hit Eddie's, of course. We hit Europol.
Roseland.
It was just, I think I wrote in the...
I was right near my house. Thanks for calling me up. Thanks for the invite, guys. We didn't even get a free pizza out of this.
But I think we wrote I wrote in the Europol thing, like, if you want like to measure the health of an immigrant community, like the activity within an immigrant community, look for the newspapers. Like, and Europol still sells Polish language newspapers, which I thought was really cool. Like, you don't. Everybody talks about New Britain as being this capital of Polish culture in Connecticut, which it is for sure. But here's this deli, and not only is there a deli, there's a restaurant right next door to it. And
then another place further down the road.
And there's one in Derby on 34 there. And so that we hit that, I think that's a good representation of the Valley, I thought.
Went to wiffle ball. Yeah, what were we going to say?
Yeah. And then the other thing I really liked personally writing about was, I wrote about Goodyear, which, I always assumed he had made a fortune with the Goodyear Tire Company, and of course, that has no connection to him, actually. It was named in honor of him afterwards. So he... it's sort of like Tesla cars, and just learning about that. He died penniless, and had kind of this insane quest to try to stabilize rubber, which I'm sure some people knew about that, some history buffs, but I knew nothing about it, and getting to research that was a lot of fun. And then of course writing about the Valley beer scene was fun.
Which has really emerged in the last 5 or so years, starting with the Dewdrop. I mean, I personally witnessed the Dewdrop.
You personally started the Valley beer.
I'm anti-craft beer. But when I first moved up here, I would work I was working at the News Times, and I would work like 6 a.m. to 2 or 3. It was a total scam I had going. It was beautiful because I was their whatever the mobile reporter in
Early
those
cop
days.
shift.
Yeah.
essentially.
And I'd go to the police personally so they could tell me nothing was happening. And my wife would work 3 to 11. Then my girlfriend at the time. So I would go to the Dewdrop for dinner because it's very close to my house every day. And when I first moved up here, I guess it was 2006, 2005, something like that. It was, people would be like, "What? You went to that place?" Because it had like famously been an actual biker bar and violent and all that, but it was really not like that at all. And then it was right around there that the new guy Jay took over, and it just slowly but surely, like they did a couple of things. They had like The Walking Dead. They'd have a Walking Dead Sunday night viewing, and that was before. That was like during like the transition.
Steak night.
And Steak Night like took off, and that
Exploded.
So anyway, and then that was like the first one that then they became this destination somehow.
There you
Thanks
go.
a lot in part to you guys naming them Best
The Wings,
and
yeah,
stuff
which
like
are great
that.
there, yeah.
That really
And-
helped them.
And they've got it's a great bar. It has I encountered that too the first time I went, where people were like, "Oh, you're going there?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, clearly just take one look at me, and people won't mess with me." And so I wouldn't go there if I were you, but it's fine for me. But like it was clearly like
I've been at the bar, and it's been a long time. But I've texted the owner being like, "There's some guy here in skinny jeans," which he welcomes. But I was just trying to.
well,
Going
yeah,
out
it
a
is.
Saturday afternoon, it's like
I
can't get a
can't
seat.
get
Yeah.
I saw like I was.
Good to see.
I actually, because I thought since we lost electricity here through no fault of our own, I was gonna call up Jay and be like, "Hey, can we go to the bar and do this at 10 a.m.?" And whatever I searched on Google to see what time they opened, it had like wait time 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my, it's like a Manhattan eatery. It's just amazing what that
Burn
place
our
has become.
down.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means either.
It's a Manhattan eatery.
They're like Nobu. I only know what Howard Stern goes to. All right, so but it's amazing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and then from that, there's a couple other beer bars that are great. The Hops Company, and then also just the breweries. In Oxford has both OEC and Black Hog, which are two great breweries with kind of OEC. Well, both actually have regional great reputations beyond Connecticut, and OEC is really a unique brewery. They have sort of a national reputation for doing what they do and doing great stuff. And then Bad Sons, which is newer, which is a great space right there by Books of the Falls, and has
and what a great, as somebody who like lives literally above that, the fact that on the hill above it, what a reuse of that property, because that probably was doing nothing. I would just go like. Whenever it was a slow news week, there'd always be some kind of fire inside that building. It wouldn't be a fire.
There
It
used
was,
to be like an old boat on blocks.
that's
for, like,
well,
in
that's
the
still.
parking- or no, is that
that's been moved to I think down the road a little bit, closer to my house. My friends behind me.
It's not right next to Route 34.
Right, but but now it's like a vibrant place. It's cool to see.
yeah, no, it's beautiful, and the the acronym for the Valley towns it's named after, and really. Definitely a lot of Valley pride there, and it really is someone who goes to probably too many breweries. It's really a nice layout, like very nicely done, and great beer.
So that day that we came and visited you guys back in, I think it was late February actually.
Was it that long ago? Holy cow!
I think it was.
Wow.
Because it was that, what it was? It was that really bizarrely warm day where it like hit in the 70s. Erik and I stopped in at Bad Sons, and that was like, there was the hand of God on our shoulder saying, "You got to write about the Valley. The Valley issue is blessed by God," because it was 75 degrees in February, and we were at Bad Sons.
Yeah,
having
like
a beer,
out in the
sitting
beer
outside.
garden. Yeah.
These guys left here and got drunk.
Yeah.
That's
Like good reporters.
And that, you know what I did
just
that
kidding, just
day?
kidding.
You guys left, and I had recorded a podcast. Or that podcast you witnessed. I
Yes.
deleted the file.
The Bill Davis one?
Yeah, we have to do it again. Yeah, it doesn't exist
no.
anywhere. Right. Well, I got since anyway.
There's a story. Okay.
Life in corporate media it differs a little. You guys have electricity and fancy things like that.
There's newfangled.
There's a story about the
About Mike Kenichi, Valley Sports Rewind.
Valley Sports Rewind. I sat in on a
There he is.
on a Valley Sports Rewind recording session with Bill Davis, the Seymour softball legend. So
Ethan's checking to see if you got anything embarrassing in the photograph in the background.
We got the Mark Loretti inauguration issue.
The 1991 Valley
Evening
Sentinel.
Sentinel
Yeah.
and our joking Nixon poster.
your throwback Nixon
Sarcastic.
poster, yeah. And also my coffee cup from Neil's Donuts in Wallingford.
Nice.
I didn't realize that was there, but Yeah, no. So there's a lead in this which references like a particular part of their conversation. I hope that
doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Fake news.
Bring it up again.
Yeah, don't worry. We have to retake
It's
that.
now the primary source for that. Yeah,
I had to
Last
send out the
remnant of-
laptop, so it's been repaired. But
It's
yeah,
like the lost episodes.
Yeah.
yeah.
like that Jerry Lewis movie. That's cool. Yeah, so we got Mike Kinnear. We got the niche in there.
The niche.
What about you? Had mentioned the hard news. Is there like a look at something you said your
Well,
magazine, or is that just
we sort
generic
of-
hard news? Or
We sort of did
statewide?
there is one thing where we sort of did a follow up to the. We did a story last issue. A freelancer, Mike Katarivas, did a really great story actually about this sort of state of the commuter rails in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
Which covered a lot of the sort of proposed cuts to the Waterbury branch line, and so we didn't want to like retread too much ground, but we did do sort of a little vox pop.
A what?
A vox populi. That's a news term. Man on the street. Man on the street.
Oh, okay.
About how. So I went around to a couple different train stops, and just sort of talked to people who use the train.
No one gave you the name Al DePantsu or anything like that? I'm disappointed, Valley. Nobody ran up and yelled Baba Booey?
There was some funny stuff going on. One of these people told me that he was the train inspector. But,
Nice!
But then he was...
Was that, what's his name from Silicon Valley, who just got charged with calling it a bomb threat to?
What's his name?
He's not from the Valley, right? Dylan, TJ.
TJ Miller.
Is he from Connecticut?
He was going to Westport. He was on the train to Westport. I don't know if he's from Connecticut or not.
He
I
just
don't-
stumbled out of a brewery somewhere,
Yeah.
according to the FBI statement.
Yeah, and according.
One too many craft beers.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Charlton Comics in here?
Yes, yeah. So we actually
that's awesome.
we did a little sort of historic roundup, and that was one of the things that I had no idea about that. That's a great story.
Landscape.
Thanks for turning off your phone. Yeah, there's a documentary coming out. That they've been working on it forever.
Yeah, I mentioned
on that
yeah.
company. Yeah, okay. You
And
got
I think
it
I
in there,
saw your story.
Oh, yeah, there it is again.
Yeah.
All right,
You're
yeah.
quoted personally.
Yeah.
Oh.
The scrappy street fighting cousin of heavyweight champion publishers DC and Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Derby's
All right.
own
Do I get any
Charlton
residuals?
Comics.
There's nothing out of this.
I think that was because I read that and I was close to deadline, and then I was like, I
did a
can't get that
podcast.
description. So yeah, anything I describe is going to be a ripoff of that description. So I'm just going to put it in quotes.
I'm hoping that comes out. That's pretty cool. All right, so what else? So there's Ron Knox that I see.
So
you
if you
got
go
infographics.
If you go back
that's
to the little
always
start of this, actually,
fun.
so this is the start of like the little Valley special section. Sort
Valley New Year's. Well, you guys got everything.
Yeah. History of wiffle balls by freelancer John Roach.
And I didn't know Almond Joy began in Naugatuck, I guess.
Yep, yeah.
I never heard that.
I thought that was always just one of those false claims sometimes.
Yeah, no, it started and
Oh, Seymour! You got Kurt Miller will be happy. You got some Seymour action in there.
Yeah, Seymour's the cover too.
So Seymour's on their cover, yeah. And Mike Wolschlager, one of the writers / editor, sort of got a great tour around Seymour with John Fanoto, who
Knights of Columbus, right?
Knights of Columbus, sort of unofficial. I think Mike describes him somewhere as the unofficial mayor of Seymour. So there's a bit of a Seymour sort of, I don't know, travelogue, visitor's guide kind of thing.
we talk about the bicycle getting its start. And,
Pierre Lallemand.
yes.
Nice, nice.
little
Brief
bit.
mention of Valley football. We didn't slaughter that because
Yeah,
that
you
was
guys
one
kind
of
of
the...
went the other direction because there's been so much written
There's been
about
so much,
Ansonia football and Derby Ansonia rivalry and Shelton and all that good stuff.
Books by the Falls. We already mentioned that. Just a little sort of infographic with the size of the place. I didn't realize. I mean, I was shocked by that number. 138,000 people living across. We sort of included 7 towns. I know there's some debate about what is in the valley and what's not. But Albie, as a Naugatuck boy, was adamant that Naugatuck was part of the valley, and so we'll defer to that. So yeah, just a little.
Yeah, that number looks right. That's what I put on our grant applications. It's about that. That's our potential.
Oh, and then
reach.
Crave, yeah, which.
So our food section, Crave. I know Crave's been around for a while, and we've never written about it, but it was great. I mean, so like we do go around to a lot of really nice restaurants in like your Mystics and Fairfield County and these kind of West Hartford, these kind of food places.
Farmington.
Crave easily is like up there with any of them in terms of what I ate when I was there. I really like the vibe in there. It's like super high end food. But not terribly expensive. And it was cool. There was a little. I was talking to Libby Meisner, the chef there, the owner there, and she was saying she's bounced all over the world really in terms of her food background. She's a native of Puerto Rico, and she's worked in restaurants in New York, in Jackson Hole, in Wyoming, in Texas, and as you were talking about earlier, I said, so what brought you to Ansonia? And she says, well, it's a place that I could afford to live, because she had been a waitress for a long time in these places before she decided to start her own venture. And she seems to have done really, really well at it. And she's got this great.
They're putting an outside deck on.
They expanded a couple of years ago, and now they're building a deck. So,
and it's my theory that
see.
we've seen so many restaurants and like delis and things just come and go,
right.
Especially right here in Ansonia.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's been able to make it a go is pretty, is like a testament to her.
And for years, like even before. The Valley Indy was.
Yeah,
open,
they've been here a
been
long
mainstay.
time. I think like a lot of times, like Ansonia and Derby sometimes is the place where like a new person like new to owning a business, maybe they've done something else and this is their first try. They'll come here to try it out. I think that's part of the reason why we have such high turnover. It's not necessarily that no one goes out to eat, but it's more of people new to business.
But she's stuck around, is what you're saying. Like,
she's figured it out. Whatever she did, it worked. And
she has this great quote. She says, "Valley folk, we're real people. There's no pretenses. We're just real. Everybody knows everybody." Which I thought was a pretty nice description.
We got to go there for lunch. I'm getting hungry now.
I am getting hungry also. Yeah.
Eric's trying to get out of the.
They do actually have a lunch menu, which I didn't sample off of, but.
I've never been there. I've only walked.
You should
by.
go, Eugene.
It's too
really
intimidating.
And it's fusion, like
it's
Caribbean,
it's food from all over Latin America, really. The chef is from Ecuador, and Fabian Delgado, and he. So there's a lot of like. So Libby Meisner's parents she's born in Puerto Rico, but her parents are from Spain, or her grandparents, I think, are from Spain. So there's a lot of Spanish dishes in there as well. So the paella is a specialty. Gosh, what did I have? I had this like grilled octopus dish that was gorgeous. Like there's a lot of like tapas style. Like you can kind of do it with small plates. Yeah, really, really, really beautiful. Like food, but food literally from like all over Latin America, like Caribbean, from Central America, from South America. Yeah, highly recommended.
Ethan, is there anything you wanted to ask these two intrepid journalists about their experiences in the Valley? I know I've been dominating with bad one-liners, but just make sure you speak up because you're the farthest away.
Like, is there anything you guys like are there any like preconceived notions you came in with that you learned were not true about the Valley, or any like surprises in terms of when you guys came in and learned more about the area?
I mean, I think for me, just on the history side, because I did that, the back page, I did the story about kind of the rubber industry, and I didn't realize how linked it was to some of the surprises I mentioned already about that, but just how linked it was to the early sneaker industry. And there's some people, which I'm not sure is true, but they say the first sneakers were made because they had the first rubber soles, and that's fascinating to me. The some of the other history things I didn't know. I mean, I think we had a good idea, or I had a decent idea about the culture. I think there's a lot of Valley pride, which I was maybe surprised a little bit, by the extent of that. I think everyone I talked to is like very much like, very repping the Valley and very like proud of where they came from. And
hi, it's Eugene at valleyindy.org.
Hope you're enjoying this episode of Navel Gazing, the Valley Indy Podcast. Just wanted to talk to you for a second about The Valley Gives Back, a new program of the Valley Community Foundation. They're supporting this podcast. Adding a charity to your estate plan creates a legacy that tells future generations what causes matter to you during your life. Your action inspires others to follow your lead and make a difference. And with a planned gift, you have the power to impact your community forever without affecting your current lifestyle. For more information, visit valleygivesback.org. The Valley Gives Back is an initiative of the Valley Community Foundation, connecting private philanthropy to the long-term public good of the Valley. Plan now, give later, and impact tomorrow at valleygivesback.org. Now back to the show.
If you're looking through the issue, to the listener of this,
And this is available everywhere now on newsstands. No.
well, it depends on
It's not coming out.
depends on when this podcast is out.
Yeah,
Well, let me know, because then when's it coming out? When will it be on newsstands?
I think it's up to individual retailers when they want to put it on the stands, but certainly by the first of the month, it'll be mailed out to subscribers last week of April.
Okay.
But I mean, do you have
Almost
more?
starting next week. Yeah, almost starting next week. I think subscribers will start to get it.
Gotcha. Sorry, I
We
didn't realize
just
that.
got it. Yeah.
I just got this yesterday.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can get it at CVS, Stop and Shop, Price Chopper. You're supposed to, although.
United Cigar.
I'm sure United Cigar have. That's
Yeah,
in Derby
Elizabeth
on Elizabeth Street. Yeah.
Okay.
They
Is
have
that-
Fangoria up. So up till they had Fangoria for a while.
Shout out.
That's an old style.
Connecticut Magazine.
That's the kind of thing that exists in the Valley. There used to be an old newsstand in an old news shop in Middletown, which was also like a smoke shop and cigar shop, called Central News, that I adored growing up. You could get like the weirdest little publications, niche publications in there. Even used to, like back in the 90s, you used to be able to get international newspapers there. Now it's closed, and it's like a pickle themed bar.
Whoa.
Like they serve you pickles, like all kinds of different pickles. Anyway, whatever. It's not as good as.
Is it called The Real Dill?
I don't know what. I can't remember what it's
Something
called.
that rhymes with pickle. Pickle your pickle or something like that.
But that's the kind of thing that exists in the Valley that is not existing, or like News Haven in New Haven. What used to be an old newspaper and magazine shop. It's now a Panera Bread. I scoff as I say that. But
Although the cities are, I mean, like there's going to be economic development people listening to this in city halls and so in Derby.
Stampeding to
Who'll be
get
like,
a Panera.
we want Panera! There is
They
like,
would
we have room to grow.
Sell their firstborn to get a Panera.
Right, yeah, we would. I think the Valley would like to get rid of some of these like toxic waste
Well,
dumps.
Derby
that sort of-
just got a Panera a couple years ago. Right?
But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
is what
right,
I'm
you don't
saying.
make the whole thing.
Yeah,
you don't.
yeah.
Right,
Which is an error that some towns make in their development stuff. I mean that well. On a like a more philosophical topic, that's a lesson I think that the rest of Connecticut can actually learn from the Valley is how do you maintain these individual characters of these towns, even as you develop? Because
Well, what you do is one mayor gets in, and then everybody does a mutiny against it, and then you just get stuck and you just have infighting forever, and then there's no progress. Except in Shelton.
Yeah, well, you got a guy in there for 25
Right.
years,
He's the emperor.
despite all the slings and arrows.
Yeah.
of outrageous misfortune.
Yeah, and this is this issue is also available online in its entirety. So there's a special section of the website with all the Valley stories in one place.
And what's the website?
The website is connecticutmag.com, and there will be a link there on the homepage to it.
And that's up now, so that's before it even is on stands. You can hit it online anytime.
Sweet. So I want to thank you guys, unless there's anything else you want to add. Because I know people like Connecticut Magazine in the Valley, and I know that just through our experiences on Facebook. And I say this without a hint of jealousy or bitterness. But like the lists really do well, and people enjoy it because, like I said, sometimes people have this view of the Valley, like, the Valley, how's Derby? Speaking of like my brother-in-law. So what you guys do is actually good for the community.
Well, we love the Valley. Yeah. Absolutely. This is a celebration.
All right, let's go to Bad Sons.
Yeah.
See you next week.
For hundreds of years we brought you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. profits were always sky high. Changing market now threatens our lives. Post-literation, critical reading, dumbed down nation, signs of inbreeding, TV sucking ideas from our head, public discourse just about dead. We'll ride the dinosaur, yeah, ride the dinosaur. Our readers are in the opens each day. Online clickbait, a prurient way. It's free information here to stay. Not even hookers give it away. Advertising, metastasizing, newsroom shrinking, constant attrition. We'll ride the dinosaur. We'll ride the dinosaur. Dinosaur. Deadlines, bylines, pictures too. An editorial comment for a buck or two. Fire down the block, the murder next door. And now we wonder what it's all for. Social media coming free to you, funny pages, the mayor's wages, criminal seats, corruption schemes, ink state wretches asking tough questions. We'll ride the dinosaur, yeah, ride the dinosaur. The presses are running all through the night. We're printing the truth with all of our might. We're platform agnostics, got that interweb too. Buy an ad, see what we can do. We still have subscribers, still have our fans. We're here every day, so give us a chance or we'll make an art stand. Just hold us in your hand, and we'll ride the dinosaur. Yeah, ride the dinosaur.